Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the podcast and the live stream. If you're listening to the audio version of this, you are doing so on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, etc. If you're listening to me right now live, you are on the YouTube channel, which is Vimoh Live, youtube.com/Vimoh Live. I wanted to, I have never done this before. I wanted to encourage all the podcast listeners to also join on the YouTube channel because this is where there is a chance of you actually becoming a part of the podcast where you can ask questions. Sometimes, not today perhaps, but sometimes come and talk to me on video and audio live, and we can talk about things that are on people's minds. Today's episode is not really about anything. It's about me thinking about what this podcast means and what it is going to mean in the future. It's been growing at a good, steady rate. It has started to make money. And I wanted to kind of sort of diversify it into a few things at least. And one of those things, I'll talk about the things that I have planned. But let me just tell you what this podcast has been so far. It started out as my attempt to start a gaming channel, which did not work back then. It is working now, but on another channel about which I'm not going to talk. But the reason I'm making this episode is because I wanted to ask you, all the people who are listening, and that is why I also said in the beginning that I wanted the audio listeners to also join on the YouTube channel whenever possible, is that I want to guide the course of this channel's future based on your feedback. Of course, I may not be able to do all the things that you ask, but I do want to do some of the things that you need. And by that, I mean that I'm a content creator and I'm pretty much making all my income right now, which is not much, but I'm making all my income through my content. But I wanted to encourage other people to also make content, other people to also build communities, other people to also be Instagrammers, be YouTubers, be writers. So maybe on that front, at least one of the plans in my head about what I want to do with this channel in the future is that maybe on that front, at least once a week, we can have some kind of a live stream where we talk about just creating, just making, just expanding communities and all. I don't want to be the guy who says that I know I will teach you 10 things about becoming a YouTuber and stuff, because there are many videos like that. Some of them are useful, many of them are not useful. But I do want to have a back and forth about creating. So if people are interested in starting their own YouTube channel, starting their own live streams, because that is something I can actually help with because I have experience, 3 4 years experience now, 3 years experience now. Sorry, my throat is kind of giving me trouble today. So I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to talk about, like, this live stream happens twice a week. It happens on Wednesday 10 p.m. and Saturday 10 p.m. So I was wondering if at least one more day could be added to the menu, and on that day we do something different. And also, ये जो Wednesday और Saturday वाले slots हैं, maybe we can have them for specific things. Like on Saturday, we only talk about contemporary issues. On Wednesday, we only talk about atheism and religion. On Sunday, maybe I can make it about the creative stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Anarchist atheist in the chat says, you should use catchy animation, well written script, and editing to attract more people. Views matter. Thanks, Anarchist Atheist, for destroying my self esteem, because what that comment means is that I don't have catchy animation right now, I don't have well written scripts right now, and I don't have editing. All of that is true, by the way. I don't. But I think that feedback applies more to my main channel, just youtube.com/Vimo, because this channel is a live streaming channel. There is not going to be any editing here. It's a podcast. It's off the cuff talking for 1 hour about a topic that I find interesting. And I have found that uh, my long videos have more retention than my short videos. Like, people want to listen to me talk for hours instead of me making very short content. There are some people who prefer short content, but I don't know why. As far as I am concerned, all my content is like, if you ask someone who listens to me regularly to choose between a short video of mine and a long video of mine, they always go for the long video. So I don't know why that happens, but it happens. But as for the rest, your feedback is completely on point, and I will make an attempt to do that. I don't want to hire someone to edit my videos. So I'm just trying to up my own video making skills, my own editing skills. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Sridhar, Aliens, Harshil, hello everyone. Uh, Confused Ape says, I want to create science and rationality content someday. Confused Ape, why don't you start? In fact, there are right now two markets. One, science and rationality content. Obviously, it's not going to appeal to everyone, but the benefit of science and rationality content is that you make people feel smart. You make people feel smart, and one of the side effects of that is that when people feel smart after watching something you have made, they share it, and that helps the channel. And the number of people who associate with rationality related content in India is definitely not shrinking, it's definitely growing. It may not be growing as fast as religions, but it is definitely growing. And there is, there is a small subculture in the subcontinent. I include Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, everyone in it, of rationality based content. People are actively speaking up against superstition. So yeah, there is a market. If you have any specific questions about this, please feel free to ask. Maybe not today, but I am going to do another kind of live stream uh, about all this, and we will talk about that then. Dhirubhai is here. Dhirubhai, thank you. Hello, how have you been? Thank you for being a member. I will remind everyone that this channel has a join button that you can click, and you can become a member of the channel. And when you become a member, you get access to special emoji that you can use in the chat. For some reason, my members don't use them, but I made them very laboriously. Brijesh says, "Hello, Vimoh bhai. Hi, Brijesh. Welcome." Right. So that is the comments so far. If anyone has any other questions about what I just spoke about, let me know. The other suggestion I have is the other idea I have is uh, so I'm a writer. I write stories, and I have for a long time wanted to do a live stream. Like for about a couple of years ago, I was trying to do Twitch.tv, the gaming platform, but they also have other genres of live streamers. And a couple of years ago, I was trying to do an experiment where uh, I would write live on a live stream. The idea was that I'll start a live stream. I'll say, okay, you guys tell me what to write about. You guys will give me an idea. And I'll write there live on video, write an entire story. It was called the 1 hour story challenge. It did not take off for multiple reasons. One, I did not think people will be interested. Two, I it was very daunting because writing is a very private activity, and I thought that maybe I will be performing in some way, and maybe it will not work. And I'm still of the opinion that had I tried it then, it would not have worked. So one of the ideas I have right now is that at least on one day of the week, I will do a chill stream where I'll just write. There will not be talking. There will be not much talking. I mean, we will interact. There will be interaction with the people who are in the chat. There will be interaction with the people who, uh, you know, want a story written to their specification. But it will be a zero commitment, fun chat with, me just getting feedback from you and writing a story and then reading it out. And maybe other people can participate. I tried to do this via email newsletter, by the way. This has been an old dream of mine where at a certain part of the week, I sent an email out with a word, and everyone who subscribes uh, takes 1 hour to write a story based on that word, and everyone mails me back. Everyone said it was a brilliant idea, but uh, nobody wrote anything, and it did not take off. But I've been trying to make this idea work in one fashion or another for quite some time, and I was wondering if this live stream can be a home to that idea, the 1 hour story live stream. The idea is that I will come live, I will open a word processor, I will put it on screen. You will give me a word, or I will define a topic, and then I'll start the clock. For 1 hour, I will write, and that whole thing will be live. If you want, you can participate also. You can write with me at home, and you can mail me the stories, and then I will read them on screen. Maybe that is something people will be interested in. Let me know. Even if writing interested people are not in the chat right now, please share this video with them so that I can gauge how much interest there is in this idea. So there are a few more comments, but before that, Mayank, thank you for the 100 rupee super sticker. I much appreciate it. This channel is sponsored by people like you, and please never change. Without people like you, people like me would not be able to do our work. Uh, Addict listener says, "Hello Vimoh, do you think George Orwell 1984 is still relevant?" It is. It has never been more relevant, man. We are living in that world right now. George Orwell's 1984, like Isaac Asimov, the science fiction writer. Again, disclaimers about Isaac Asimov's uh, sexual assault, sexual misconduct history. But Isaac Asimov once, criticized George Orwell's 1984 for not thinking about robots, because George Orwell's world was that you are being watched, and the question was, who watches the watchers? And Isaac Asimov, at the time when I read this criticism, I was blown away by it. Wow, Asimov is such a genius, because the social problems can clearly be solved by technology. If robots were there, then social inequality would not be there, then fascism would not be there, because robots would take care of all of us. I think that's kind of a fairy tale idea. It doesn't really work that way. But I think what is going to happen. I think what did happen in 1984 was that there was a very clear-cut finger pointing at the risks of totalitarian regimes, and I think we are sort of living in that world right now, not just in India but in many parts of the world, because technology has gotten to that point where everyone can be kept an eye on. Pegasus is an example. All sorts of uh, internet surveillance is an example. Drone surveillance is an example. Government having more and more control over personal data of individuals is one example. 1984 has never been more relevant. It's definitely relevant. Um, Mood kya hai says, one, the problem from views point of view I see with your channel is you don't go mainstream. By that, what I mean is take names. For example, what Pranav did with Abhinew, Ranveer, keep it honest, that matters. Yeah, I think this is a valid point. I don't take names. I mentioned in the last episode that I have a bit of a problem with naming people, because then what it becomes is that it becomes a finger pointing contest. I point a finger at them, they point a finger back at me, and there isn't anything useful that arises out of it except, "अरे वाह, उसको क्या लगाया तुमने?" And I think if a wrestling match is all people are interested in, then it's not that I cannot provide it. I just don't think it's very useful. But I suppose I can take names. I suppose I can take names respectfully, point out the problems with people's arguments. I recently posted a video on Sadhguru on my YouTube channel. It was not, I was not pointing a finger at anything. I said, here's something Sadhguru said, here's my problem with it. And I then broke down the logical fallacy there. And that video did fairly well. It did definitely did better than other videos, because on YouTube, unfortunately, the culture is that you can make 10,000 videos about logical fallacies and nobody will listen. But you say X person made a logical fallacy and everyone will come and watch. So I have to either find a way of fitting inside that culture, or I have to find a way. Hold on, the light is doing something strange. Let me just figure out the light. Yeah, I suppose it didn't change much, but okay. Uh, yeah, so I have to figure this out. Going mainstream, taking names, like what Pranav did. Pranav also, by the way, has changed his tactic a bit. Pranav is not going after people as aggressively as he used to. He's being more respectful, and he has said this clearly also to me and to other people. So yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind. Thank you, Mood Kya Hai. Very good feedback. Short says, "Hi Vimo, thanks for providing a platform for proper discourse. But a few people in your server are not open for discourse. They think what we believe is right." Shorts, that's very generic. I have been on my Discord server and I have not seen this. If you want to point out some specific example of it, you can send me a message on Discord, and we can take a look at that. But I don't think anything like that has happened. Addict says, "That's great. I love to participate." Aditya says, "I'm not sure if you have read the Three Body Problem series, just a recommendation." Thank you, Aditya. I will eventually one day finish it. I have started, but I have not finished it. Out of Context has sent a 100 rupee super sticker. Thank you, Out of Context. Much appreciated. Uh, Everyone else, just a reminder, the channel is monetized. There is a join button. You can support it with money. Um, right. There is, yes. Nope. Already said that. Already said that. कहाँ था मैं? Harshil says future idea. Dive into call-in show format like AXP Vimoh XP, or something like Eric and V's skeptic generation. You are perfectly placed for this, I feel. What do you think? Harshal, that is one of the things that like, as I said in the beginning of this episode, one of the things that I want to do is to set a day apart just for call ins. But the problem is that the channel has to be about YouTube's algorithm recognize a channel better when it is about one thing. So I want to make this channel primarily about, and I know I sound vain in this, but I want to make this channel primarily about me, because if I make it about atheism, YouTube will punish the channel algorithmically when I post stuff about creative stuff. When I If I keep it about creative stuff, YouTube will not recognize it as a atheism related thing. So there is a problem there. I will obviously find a way around it, but the problem is there. So yeah, if the idea is that one day of the week we do a call-in thing, I'm totally open to it. Dhirubhai says this kind of a live stream would be good for Wednesday or weekdays. It will allow us to chill and unwind. We can keep serious talk kind of streams on weekends when we have more energy to invest. Emoji green. Thank you first of all for using the emoji. बहुत मेहनत से बनाया था. And yeah, that is exactly what I had in mind. Like a Sunday evening, and these live streams will definitely be more than an hour long. There will be less talking and more making. I'll either design something or write something on screen, and people can participate, people can give feedback, or people can make their own in their own place and share it with me, and I will put it on screen for them. Hopefully they don't post stuff that gets my channel banned, but that's a different problem. Manish sir, hi Vimoh, do you think a channel to talk politics and current issues is a good idea? Manish, this is already that channel. We already talk about politics and current issues. uh, Whether or not I want to make this channel exclusively that, I don't want to. And I'll tell you why. Because it's been taking a toll on my mental, like my mental state for quite some time. Last week, I mean, this Saturday, I did not do an episode because I was overwhelmed. You know what has been happening with the bulldozer politics and stuff. I took a look at, I wanted to write something about it, but I look at everything that has been happening, and it felt like, ऐसा क्या लिखूं जो पहले नहीं लिखा है, ऐसा क्या बोलूं जो पहले 10,000 बार नहीं बोल चुका हूं. Because this, I hope everyone sees this clearly, this is an attempt to break our spirits. This is an attempt to intimidate us. This is an attempt to make us think that no matter what you do, we will continue to do this shit and you can do nothing to stop us. I got really down this Saturday, and it was terrible, especially because right now I'm alone at home. So it hit even harder. There was no one to talk to, and I was really down in a ditch. That's part of the reason why today's live stream is also not about anything happening in contemporary news. But I have to keep, at least, I have to take a little bit of care of my mental health. So we will continue to talk about politics and current issues. We will also do other things, but I cannot do politics and current issues every single day like some people do, because this is a live stream channel. It's not like I can record a few videos and then chill for a week. I have to actually be present here. That's one of the greatest strengths of a live stream, and also one of the greatest weaknesses of it, because it requires investment of time on a very regular basis. And not just investment of time. I cannot just come online and talk anything out of my ass. I have to do research, I have to read up, I have to prepare material and all that. So it takes time and effort, and it doing it every single day is, I don't know if it is sustainable. Let's see. Let's see. Aditya says, hi Vimo. I thought that Nupur Sharma episode would work against the BJP, but somehow they have turned it against Muslims again. How long do you think before this Frankenstein ends BJP itself? It did turn against BJP, but if you were expecting that it would destroy the BJP, then clearly that was never going to happen. It did work against them. They are now, like, this has happened before also. We have all seen that one jackass who works in the Gulf in some country and starts posting Islamophobic content. फिर उसको उसकी वहाँ की एम्प्लॉयर, वहाँ की कंपनी वहाँ से निकाल देते हैं, और उसको मुंह 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 सिर झुका के वापस आना पड़ता है भारत को. और तब तो मैं हमेशा ट्विटर पे डालता हूँ, घर आजा परदेसी तेरा देश बुलाए रे. क्योंकि ये लोग इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस की धज्जियां सालों से उड़ा रहे हैं, वाइल साइमल्टेनियसली घर पे जितने लोग हैं उनको ये मैसेज देना कि हम तो देश का नाम ऊंचा कर रहे हैं. Now, this works for some voters who are completely oblivious to politics. Did you, by the way, did you guys see that tweet? I forget who it was, but this guy says, oh, America is so bad. Whenever I come to India, I feel such nice things. And then Shantanu on Twitter, I think, replied to them saying, let me guess, you live in a bungalow and you have a lot of people working for you, you have a car, and you have people cooking for you, right? Because someone who looks at America and says कि यहाँ school shootings हो रही है, बहुत violence है, and comes to India thinking this is some utopian paradise while closing their eyes completely to all the violence that is happening on an everyday basis is clearly not clued into the reality. But yeah, कुछ लोगों को उल्लू बनाना ज़्यादा आसान होता है. I think this has made a permanent dent, and at some point of time they're going to milk it, they're going to, like, give some benefits to the person accused, etc. But they know what is at risk if they cross at least one line. Now, again, I'll remind everyone that in the last to last episode, I spoke about blasphemy, and I do think that the death threats, etc., that are made against Nupur Sharma were wrong and completely unjustifiable. However, we also need to keep in mind which party she belongs to and the history of that party and the kind of communal passions that they actively try to instigate people into. So, this is not an easy topic to have an opinion on, especially as an atheist, because I end up looking like I'm supporting the people who are fighting for religious pride. But you have to understand they're not just fighting for religious pride, they're also fighting against a whole lot of bigotry that has been going on for a number of years now. Uh, Mode kya hai says number two, make it fun. Why just write stories? Tell stories. Any story based on themes like endurance, serial killer, it will work for you because of your speaking skill. Hey, that's a good idea. By the way, I'll just give credit where it is due. My friend Swapnil Narendra also does a live stream. He does a horror storytelling live stream. And this week he posted on Instagram that he is also going to experiment with a live stream where he writes a screenplay live in front of everyone on screen, and he will show people how it is done. And that reminded me of the 1 hour story program, and I thought maybe this is a good time, maybe we can try this. And when that happens, then we'll see. But me, a storyteller on live stream, I don't think that's a bad idea. I can tell stories, I've done audio podcasts. And yeah, I hadn't thought of this, honestly. Thanks. This is a good idea. I'll make note of it. I hope somebody is keeping notes because I don't have space on my table to write stuff. So the ideas till now are, should I write it down somewhere? The ideas till now are do a writing stream, do a storytelling stream, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, it'll come back to me. I'll watch this video only later on if I forget. Kiran says, taking names may get views, but still you are doing a great job even without taking names. Learned a lot from whatever I have watched and listened so far. Thanks, Kiran. Thank you so much. In fact, I'll remind everyone of another thing. If I take a name, your focus is on the person. If I don't take the name, your focus is on the thing that I want to talk about, the thing that they did. And that in the long run ends up being more educational. So, a lot of times when people use one person's face or name as their point, and even if they're trying to make a greater point, that point is lost because most people's focus is on the face. And the reason I don't take names and don't use faces, or at least talk about actual people doing something weird or wrong. Uh, In rare circumstances, I do, but mostly I don't. The reason I do is because I don't want to dilute the educational value of the thing that I'm saying. Aditya says taking names will get you a new audience, but not all who come are positive and the space becomes unnecessarily toxic. That I'm aware of, and that I have been aware of for a long, long time. And I have taken precautions against it also. I have very strict rules about the kind of people who participate, the kind of things people are allowed to say, and I don't let those rules be broken. So that is not, it is a problem. I struggle against it every single day, even on Instagram, but it's not going to be a problem that is unsolvable because I have actually a solution. Aditya says, I agree with you, Nataraj. BJP has been pushing themselves into a corner, but I don't think it will translate in the polling station. Let's see. Let's see. Manish says, "Hi Vimo, I was talking about the idea about my own channel. Yes, I agree with you about stress politics gives, as I have faced quite a bit of heat on my channel for the last few months. Yeah, I don't get stressed because the heat I get from other people. I get stressed because of the bad things that are happening. Because people are always going to be abusive. Or at least in this day and age of institutionalized abuse, we are a nation under abuse. We are constantly being abused. We are abused every day. We are abused every minute of every day by people who have been hired to abuse. And when the abuse is not coming from anonymous social media handles, it is coming from government institutions. We are distracted and we are abused constantly. So, yeah, Aditya says, "Hi SK, I agree. I wonder why it isn't translating. Very strange, isn't it?" Um, Osen says, "What happened to Pulp Fiction?" Osen, I mentioned in the last episode that I am still working on audio fiction projects, but I'm going to put them out as audio books. Like a podcast makes it like I have to put out one episode every month, and for some reason, my fiction output has dropped. That is also one of the reasons I want to do the 1 hour story project once again on the live stream. And if that works out, then maybe we will have some audio fiction as a result of it. बट कल्प फिक्शन के ऊपर ऑडियो फिक्शन आएगा. इट इज़ नॉट गोइंग टू बी रेगुलर. मतलब जब बनेगा तब डालूंगा. एंड दैट इज हाउ द थिंग इज राइट नाउ. धीरू भाई हैज यूज्ड अनदर इमोजी. थैंक यू धीरू भाई. JP says, bro, but what Nupur said was 100% true. Yeah, but the intent with which she said was questionable. A lot of things can be true. You can go tell a person's daughter that her father is a gangster. But if that daughter thinks that her father is not a gangster, then her feelings will be hurt. And if you are doing it with the intention of enlightening her, great. But if you are doing it with the intention of making sure everyone else calls her gangster ki beti in school, then even if you told the truth, you're doing it with a malicious intent. Uh, that was Jack. Yes, that was that person. Aditya says reaching Hunter as Thompson helps. He saw through Nixon's BS very early. Huh. Recommend a book, no? DM me on Instagram. Recommend me a book. Neil Ashwin Raj says, "Hello, Vimo. On an Instagram post recently, you write, 'Fear is a mind killer.' Was curious, are you a fan of the Dune series?" Yes, sir, I am. In fact, that quote is actually in the new Dune movie also. Fear is the mind killer. Sai Deepak says, "One thing that bothers me is that all these Gulf countries did not respond this hard when Muslims are attacked, but reacted when obvious thing is that is quoted from Quran. She said way worse things than that." Yeah, exactly. I think the alt news founder Pratik Sinha pointed out on Twitter. He said the sad fact is that people care more about people who have been dead for centuries than actual real living human beings who are suffering right now. Vikas says, "Hello, Vimo." Hi, Vikas. Mani says, "Hi, Vikas." Saying, "Remember me." Wait, what is this? Some internal conversation. Mood kya hai says, "Now this is called being a Shuddhatavadi. He can handle those toxic things because he's familiar with this." Nilashwin says, "Aditya, will you please talk about J. Krishnamurti?" Mirza Beg says, "Will you please talk about J. Krishnamurti?" There's nothing to talk about. Talk about what? I have said this before, I will say this again. I don't really understand much of J. Krishnamurti. And I'm not even being facetious. Because from whatever I've read of J. Krishnamurti, one of the core tenets of his philosophy is that thought is the enemy. And the moment thought goes, the person finds, I don't know what, enlightenment or something, peace. I don't know how to stop thinking. Maybe meditation is the path, but J. Krishnamurti has never made any sense to me. Which I don't mean that he is nonsense. I'm sure he has helped other people. It's just me. I'm incredibly stupid and I cannot understand J. Krishnamurti. JP says, "I agree with you. Intent does matter." Yeah, that's the point. We can look at like a lot of things, right? Just say, for example, take CAA and NRC, for example. What did they say it was? They said it was a law to help people who needed help to come into India. But what was it actually? Just because something is true on the surface doesn't mean it cannot be used for bad causes. And we always need to keep that in mind because one of the defining characteristics of the modern right wing is that it hijacks liberal concerns. The fact that religion is toxic, dangerous, and needs to go is a liberal atheist concern, right? But these same people will never speak any ill of the religion that they come from. So I have reasons to question their intention. If you are speaking extremely unpleasant truths about another religion in order to demonize the followers of that religion, then I expect you to say the same about your religion, and you never do. In fact, you are great proponents of your own religion, and you are great advocates of the fact that this country should be for people of your religion only. Why should I take you seriously? Why should anyone take you seriously? Had criticism of Islam come from an ex Muslim, I would take it more seriously. But these guys, no. They have a track record of hate speeches. They have a track record of demonizing Indians. They have a track record of advocating violence, mass violence against Indian citizens on the basis of their religion. Why would anyone give a flying duck about their opinions? We need to keep this in mind. There is a slightly ambiguous line here. On one side is legitimate criticism of religion, completely in favor of that. On one side is legitimate criticism, on the other side is legitimate criticism of religion being used by followers of another religion in order to demonize that religion and establish their own religious hegemony. And that is bullshit. I'm sorry, but please duck off. I don't give a shit about your opinion. Vikas says, as a citizen belonging to a majority religion, should I criticize on religion of minorities in a country? क्या ऐसा करने से माइनॉरिटी पर मेजॉरिटी प्रॉब्लम्स क्रिएट नहीं होंगे? विकास, तुम्हें ये सोच समझ के करना पड़ेगा. तुम्हें इस बात का ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा कि तुम्हारे शब्दों का इस्तेमाल बुरे लोग मासूम लोगों क्या मासूम लोगों पर अत्याचार करने के लिए ना करें. ऐसे बहुत से हिंदू मिलेंगे जो बोलेंगे मैं तो सच बोल रहा हूँ. हाँ भाई, तुम सच बोल रहे हो, पर तुम जो चीज़ बोल रहे हो, वो तुम्हारे धर्म के लोग इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, दूसरे लोगों का दमन करने के लिए. तुम्हें थोड़ी बहुत तो समझ होनी चाहिए ना. जब कोई आदमी जब कोई आदमी पीट रहा हो, उस समय जो उस आदमी को पीट रहा है, उसको जाके तुम लिस्ट थमाओगे कि इसको पीटने के ये लो और 10 कारण? क्योंकि तुम्हारा काम, तुम्हारा इंटरेस्ट अगर हिंसा रोकना है, तो तुम ऐसा नहीं करोगे. हो सकता है उस आदमी ने कुछ गलत काम किए हो सकता है उस उन चीज़ों को सामने रखने का समय अभी नहीं हो. हमें अपना सोशल कंडीशन भी देखना पड़ेगा ना, सोशल एनवायरनमेंट भी देखना पड़ेगा. क्या चल रहा है वो भी देखना पड़ेगा. दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. बी सेंसिटिव एंड डोंट बी सो स्टूपिड दैट people take your arguments and use them against other people. Dhirubhai says, by the way, new season for All Mankind started last week. Oh yeah, man, मेरा Apple subscription शायद कट गया है. I will take it again, and when the season ends, I'll watch it because I can't afford to like spend that much time watching another series right now. ये Obi-Wan Kenobi का आज का episode भी पूरा देखा नहीं अभी. I'm spending a lot of time making content for the gaming channel. By the way, gaming channel को अगर किसी ने subscribe नहीं किया है, तो I'll just remind you guys, this is the gaming channel. youtube.com/Vimoh plays. If you have not subscribed, please go watch a few videos. If you like them, please subscribe and share it. I want to grow it. Seriously. It's a lot of fun and it's taking my mind off a lot of stress. So if anyone has not subscribed, please do. It's called Vimoh Plays. youtube.com/Vimoh Plays is the URL of the channel. Right. कहाँ था मैं? JP says, Sai Deepak, if Mohammedanism is exposed, who will go to holy sites in Mecca and Medina and they will not be able to earn billions in pilgrimage? Goes for all pilgrimages. हमारे यहाँ tourism नहीं चल रहा क्या? In fact, I made a video about this some time ago where I made very clear that religion is essentially entertainment. And two aspects of it are A, storytelling, B, tourism. Stories are told in order to promote certain places where a lot of people go and spend money, and that contributes to the economy. Yash says, point is that religion may be worthless, but it did not allow you to make a worthless criticism like what Nupur did and sometimes Sam Harris did. Sam Harris is equally problematic. I have no sympathy for Sam Harris and his way of looking at things. He has said such extremely insensitive things in an intellectual climate so fraught with tension that he's nothing short of He's doing nothing short of encouraging these things. And I do place a lot of value. I may not, maybe some people will not agree with me. I do place a lot of value on responsibility, because when you are not responsible, you are careless, and when you are careless, you get used. I have been used in the past, and I will never be used again. Manmat says, I'm late to the party, but anyways, a moment of Vimoh is worth an eternity, and I'm enjoying it. Thank you, Manmat Sahu. I much appreciate it. Hemant says, started reading Chosen Spirits by Samit Basu. Thank you for the recommendation. Well, you are in for a treat. Chosen Spirits is The City Within, I think. Yeah. विकास says, क्या मुस्लिम्स के रिलीजन को उन्हीं लोगों के द्वारा क्रिटिसाइज किया जाना चाहिए जो लिबरल है, एथिस्ट है? वो ऐसा इंसान होना चाहिए जो खुद अपने रिलीजन की बकवास और इविल बातों को अनसपोर्ट करे। हाँ, मुस्लिम्स के रिलीजन्स के जो फ्लॉ हैं, उनको एक्स मुस्लिम्स को क्रिटिसाइज़ करना चाहिए। जब कोई हिंदू ऐसा करता है, तो मैं इंस्टेंटली उसके पोर्टफोलियो पर नज़र डालता हूँ और देखता हूँ कि वो अपने धर्म को कितना क्रिटिसाइज़ कर रहा है। अगर नहीं कर रहा है, तो वो अपने आप को संघी साबित कर देता है। अगर तुम्हें अगर तुम कहते हो कि तुम नास्तिक हो और तुम्हारा ऑपोज़िशन धर्म के प्रति है, तो मैं सबसे पहले ये देखना चाहूँगा कि तुमने अपने धर्म को कितना क्रिटिसाइज़ किया है। अगर नहीं किया है, तो तुम सिर्फ़ एथिइस्टिक प्रैक्टिसेज़ का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हो अपने धर्म की भलाई के लिए, एंड दैट इज़ कॉल्ड एप्रोप्रिएशन। ये बहुत होता है। इसके बारे में पहले वीडियो बना चुका हूँ, लिख चुका हूँ, देख सकते हो चैनल पर। जेपी सेज़, इन हिंदुइज़्म द राइट एज फॉर मैरिज इज़ कंसिडर्ड 10 years or less. Uh, I don't think we should look to any religion for age of marriage. That's a legal matter. Religions are not the source of law, not in this day and age. Maybe they used to be once upon a time, but not today. Yash says, I'm very much a pessimist. Like, I need think going away from religion will. I don't think going away from religion will everything great. That's why I like Dr. Ambedkar thought about all of these issues and re-establishing Buddhism. Buddhism is also a religion. If you are against religion, you cannot be for a religion. This happens a lot. A lot of followers of one religion will say they're against religion, and then looking at their own religion, they will say this is not a religion. I made a reel about it, a YouTube short about it the other day. It's on my other channel. It's called Religion is So Bad, Even Religion Does Not Want to Call Itself a Religion. Heyman says, I guess today we must give a break to Vimoh regarding politics. He looks really stressed from what's happening lately. Thank you, Heyman. I can take small questions, but as is obvious already, this live session has mostly not been about politics. But thank you for the consideration. Heyman said, okay, already said that. Yash says, Sita was married to Ram at age 6. Isn't that problematic? Sita was married to Ram at age 6? I think they were teenagers when it happened. And even if the marriage was fixed at age 6, it did not, like, they did not live together for a number of years. Unless I'm mistaken, I don't know. Neela Ashwin says, I had a debate with a good friend on the issue of choosing roommates based on vegetarian diet. I feel it is a form of casteism. He says it's just a matter of comfort. He holds many anti-caste views. Yeah, so ask him to get uncomfortable, right? If a person requires accommodation and this friend of yours is in a position to deny them that accommodation, should that person's right to get an accommodation based on your friend's comfort? No. His comfort is not as important as someone else living, right? Nilashwin says, another example of appropriation is how some Hindutvawadis say they support LGBTQ rights, but the fight for LGBTQ rights was mainly by liberals. Uh, Yeah. So again, yeah, that is appropriation of a sort. It has started in recent years. It has started when people like not just Hinduism. I find some Islamic scholars or experts or YouTubers also saying that Islam is very LGBTQ friendly, and Hinduism is was also very LGBTQ friendly. Uh, this all is just y- y- you know how I've spoken before about how religion tries to appropriate science. They take credit for something that has happened in society because at least one religious person was involved in it. And that is not how it should be done, because if you look at religious scriptures, you find clear evidence of the things that they are in support of and the things that they are not in support of. And you can take clues out of it. But modern times में modern values को अरे ये तो हमें पहले से पता था, ये बोलना बहुत नॉर्मल है। रिलिजन्स डू दिस ऑल द टाइम। इनफैक्ट आज से 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 साल बाद जब लोग मतलब किसी और चीज़ को नॉर्मल मानने लगेंगे जो अभी नॉर्मल नहीं माना जाता, तब भी रिलिजियस लोग ये करेंगे। ये तो हम लोग सैकड़ों, करोड़ों, ट्रिलियंस ऑफ सालों से जानते थे। दिस इज़ दिस इज़ par for the course as far as religious thinking is concerned. Aditya says, sorry, Vimoh, for bringing up politics, but there are very few forums we can discuss these things calmly. That's okay, Aditya. Please bring up politics. If I am in a frame of mind to talk about it, I will. If I'm not, I will not. And I hope you will apologize. I hope you will forgive me for it, at least today. Shiroko says, I was wondering today what is the future of atheist people in India and what kind of ideologies we should support. I don't think religion as a factor will disappear from politics in the future. No, I don't think religion as a factor will disappear. But as far as supporting causes are concerned, my funda is very clear. It's a very clear filter. Equality. I'm sure there are people who are going to say इक्वालिटी कभी नहीं आने वाली। ये नॉर्मली वो लोग होते हैं जिनको इनइक्वालिटी की वजह से जिसकी ज़िंदगी में फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता। जो लोग अपने अधिकारों के लिए लड़ रहे हैं, वो इनइक्वालिटी की वजह से सफ़र कर रहे हैं। जो लोग कहते हैं इक्वालिटी कभी हो नहीं सकती, ये वो लोग हैं जो अपने घर में कंफर्टेबली बैठे हैं और जिनको इनइक्वालिटी से फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता। सो आई थिंक इफ यू वांट अ सेट ऑफ वैल्यूज़ एज़ एन एथियस्ट टू बिलीव इन, ऑलवेज़ सपोर्ट इक्वालिटी। Shiroko says, probably I wasn't able to properly ask the question here also. Ah, okay. No, I think you were, and I think I understood. I hope I understood it correctly, and I gave my best answer. Ocean says, Vimo, have you looked into Afrofuturism, and is there an equivalent movement that is relevant to the subcontinent? Uh, yes, I have. Afrofuturism is a science fiction movement from the African continent. In India, what is happening? Okay, so it's complicated. How do I get there? Hold on. Let me try to put this together in my head first. Right. So let's start with colonialism. Uh, White people's culture spread all over the world because they colonized a lot of places. Eventually, the education systems of these places, like Africa, India, etc., were westernized. And when Western literature came into the picture, Western literature formed the minds of a lot of people who were from these cultures. The African culture lost track of its own stories, and a whole lot of the stories that came out of the African continent were either westernized or based on a resistance to Western hegemony. The African imagination never really got to flex its muscles and imagine a future Africa which would have been or could have been had the Western hegemony never dominated Africa. And as a result of that, Afrofuturism is a science fiction movement which has created science fiction works where Africa is super technologically advanced without the West. Black Panther was an example of Afrofuturism. Here's what happened in India. In India, the cultural narrative about reclaiming our culture has been overtaken by Brahmins, or at least Brahminical thought. And what has happened as a result of that is that uh, the kind of fantasy literature that would be the equivalent of Afrofuturism that is coming out of India is steeped in mythology. The stories, the mythological epics, Ramayana, Mahabharata, tend to inspire all literature in India, even Bollywood movies. If you go to a place like Jamia, you'll find out that the Mahabharata is the foundation of almost every movie made, almost every Hindi movie ever made in India. So, uh, our resistance movement, our reclaiming through mythological heritage, the kind of fantasy story that Afrofuturism is a little broken. And I think the way out is proper Indian science fiction stories that imagine India in the future unaffected by Western white colonialism as well as Brahminical patriarchy. And that kind of literature is not the kind of literature being written by the rock star writers of India. They're being written by people who you have not heard of really. They have been written by Samit Basu. They have been written by Krishna Uday Shankar. They have been written by Vandana Gupta. They've been written by Mimi Mondal, Indra Pramit Das. These are all the writers who are writing them. but you have probably not heard of them. Aditya says, it feels good to have a rational conversation about these issues without appearing to be venting. Thank you, Vimoh, for providing this space. You're most welcome, Aditya. Manmat says, Ramadhir Singh said, साला जब तक ये रिलीजन रहेगा ये इनअप्रोप्रिएट अप्रोप्रिएशन होता है गैंग्स ऑफ रिलीजनपुर. Yash says, no, be, I'm saying Buddhism will answer, but for Dr. Ambedkar, there is no option left because he cannot trust another religion. So he chose what is very near to atheism. It's my take, maybe I'm wrong. No, you're absolutely right. Dr. Ambedkar was faced with a choice. He did not want his Dalit brothers and sisters to remain in a religion that had dehumanized them for millennia. And his options were Christianity and Islam, and he did not want to go there because he had problems with them also. He found Buddhism as a way out because Buddhism was as close to what he was looking for as was possible, the closest option possible. And you're completely right about this. Neil Ashwin says, on a lighter note, did you watch the recent Dune movie? Did you like it? I did. I did. I watched it and I liked it. Thank you for asking. Manish says, hi Vimo, when will people start questioning government about inflation in India? When they pull their heads out of their asses and smell the fresh air, or rather the stale air. Air is really bad. I don't blame them for putting their heads up their asses and trying to remain drunk on nationalism and patriotism and religion and dharma and temple and mosque and shivling. But eventually they're going to have to. जब प्राइसेस इतनी बढ़ रही हैं कि घर पे खाना अ, जो आता है उसका प्राइस 3 गुना 4 गुना होने लगता है, तो लोगों को पिछवाड़े से सर निकाल के हवा में साँस लेनी पड़ेगी और जब लेंगे तो पता चलेगा. By that time, it may be too late to raise your voice because the system would be subverted to such an extent that you will not be able to raise your voice without consequences. मतलब अभी जो सब चीज़ें हो रही है ना, जैसे हम सब पे नज़र रखना चाहते हैं, हर चीज़ से अपना आधार कार्ड कनेक्ट करो। उस समय तुम अपने आधार कार्ड को अपने सोशल मीडिया से कनेक्ट कर दोगे। फिर तुम गवर्नमेंट को क्रिटिसाइज़ करके 1-2 ट्वीट लिखोगे और तुम्हारे आधार कार्ड के ऊपर ये लग जाएगा कि ये डिसेंटर है, इसके घर में पानी की सप्लाई रोक दो, इसके घर में कुछ और कर दो और तब आवाज़ उठाने लायक नहीं रहेंगे लोग। अगर अभी आवाज़ नहीं उठाएँगे तो बाद में मौका नहीं मिलेगा शायद। Shiroko says, yeah, I understand. Yeah, that's kind of what I was asking. Okay, good. Mm. Yeah, says religion is a primitive form of gaining knowledge, nothing else. Religion was a way of gaining knowledge when we did not know what knowledge even was. There is a lot of confusion between what people consider wisdom and knowledge. I consider knowledge to be knowledge of actual things. When we did not know, for example, imagine this is an imaginary religion. Imagine there is a giant tortoise, and on the tortoise's back, there are 4 elephants which are holding up the planet. You have no way of establishing that those elephants are holding up the planet or that the tortoise exists, but you create entire disciplines, deep studies of the third elephant's trunk, extremely comprehensive study of the tortoise and its nature, extremely comprehensive study of the life stories of all the elephants who are on the back of the tortoise. And people studied these things and they became extremely gyani in these completely imaginary things. And that is what came to be known as knowledge back then. Now we know the elephant doesn't exist, the tortoise doesn't exist, the planet is a ball of a rock floating in space because of gravity. And this all is true, and to study it makes sense because it is true. Religion was the best we could do back when we did not know what was the best way to go about things. Jasmine says, गैंगस्टर की बेटी वाला एनालॉजी का शॉर्ट वीडियो बनाना. गैंगस्टर की बेटी वाला कौन सा मैंने किया था अभी? गैंगस्टर की बेटी, अच्छा, we'll see. Mood क्या है? Says 2001 census, 1.4 million girl child marriages out of 59 million in age bracket of 10 to 15. हाँ, ये सब थोड़ी पता चलेगा लोगों को. विकास says, आप जैसे लोग फेस दिखाकर इंडिया में रिलीजन को क्रिटिसाइज करते हैं. क्या ये इसलिए पॉसिबल है क्योंकि इंडिया में हिंदू रिलीजन है, या इसलिए कि इंडिया एक डेमोक्रेसी है, रिलीजन के बेस पर नहीं? आई थिंक मेरे लिए ये ज़्यादा पॉसिबल होता है क्योंकि मैं एक हिंदू बैकग्राउंड से आता हूँ. ऐसे लोग हैं जो ये सब काम कर रहे हैं पर वो दलित बैकग्राउंड से हैं, मुस्लिम बैकग्राउंड से हैं और उनके ज़िंदगी को असल में खतरा है. मेरी ज़िंदगी को खतरा नहीं है, ये मैं गारंटी से कह नहीं सकता। बट देयर आर प्रिविलेजेस दैट आई एन्जॉय एज़ एन अपर कास्ट हिंदू मेल दैट आर नॉट अवेलेबल टू अदर पीपल। एंड ऑल्सो मैं गालियाँ नहीं देता हूँ एक्चुअली। इफ़ यू हैव नोटिस्ड माय कंटेंट, मैं रिलिजन को गालियाँ नहीं देता हूँ। मैं रिलिजन को कंस्ट्रक्टिवली क्रिटिसाइज़ करता हूँ, मैं लॉजिकल फैलेसीज़ को एक्सपोज़ करता हूँ और मैं कोशिश करता हूँ कि जो लोग आएँ बात सुनने के लिए, वो सिर्फ़ मेरे टोन ऑफ वॉइस को देख के टर्न ऑफ ना हो जाएँ। वो रुकें और समझें कि असल में मैं बोल क्या रहा हूँ। नाउ दिस इज़ इम्पॉसिबल विद सम पीपल। कुछ लोगों को जितना भी पोलाइटली बोलो, उनको इंस्टेंटली अपना ऑपरेशन लगने लगता है। उनका कुछ किया नहीं जा सकता। पर जो लोग ढंग से बात सुनने को राज़ी हैं, आई होप दैट द फैक्ट दैट आई डोंट एक्चुअली अब्यूज़ एटसेट्रा हेल्प्स। Shiroko says, as an atheist, I feel so scared to speak up about anything happening these days. When I try to criticize Hinduism, they call me anti Hindu. When I criticize issues with Islam, they call me Islamophobic. Yeah, you have to keep in mind the fact that like, if you're using your real name while doing this, your privilege needs to be kept in mind. And you also have to be aware of power structures. If you are criticizing bad practices in Hinduism, some people will call you Hindu-phobic. If you're criticizing bad practices in Islam, some people will call you Islamophobic. However, you need to keep in mind that your focus is protecting human beings and creating an equal society. If in a society, one religion dominates 80% of the power structures and you criticize it, then you're not being Hindu-phobic. It is impossible to be Hindu-phobic in India, just as it is impossible to be Islamophobic in Saudi Arabia, right? The power structures matter. You cannot take yourself out of the equation. You have to realize who you are. If you are a Hindu criticizing Islam in a country where Hinduism is already dominating much of the public space, then you are punching downwards. If you are a Hindu in Pakistan criticizing Islam, then you are punching upwards. If you are a Hindu in Bangladesh criticizing Islam, then you are punching upwards. Always be aware of power structures and where you exist on that power structure, and always punch upwards, because दिन में 24 घंटे हैं, तुम इक्वल बोथ साइड्स होना चाहिए, ये नहीं कर सकते। अगर एक ऐसा देश है जहाँ पे एक धर्म के लोगों के ऊपर ऑलरेडी बहुत सारे अत्याचार हो रहे हैं एंड यू आर जस्ट एडिंग टू इट बाय सेइंग मैं तो बस सच बोल रहा हूँ, देन यू मे बी एन एथिस्ट बट यू आर ऑल्सो अ डिक। आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट यू, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट सम हाइपोथेटिकल पर्सन हु इज डूइंग दिस। सो पावर स्ट्रक्चर्स आर इम्पॉर्टेंट। मुझे पता है ऐसे बहुत से लोग हैं जिनकी चड्डियों में गांठ पड़ जाती है जब मैं पावर स्ट्रक्चर्स की बात करता हूँ, क्योंकि इट्स इनकन्वीनियंट, but it is important. It is probably the most important thing to keep in mind when engaging in any kind of public discourse. Hmm. Nilashan says subscribers of this channel shall be removed if they don't accept Shai Hulud, the maker Sandstorm, as the only god and Vimoh as his messenger. I am making a lot of Dune references today. This is not true. No one will be removed. Cherish says your depiction of the immediate future got me bolting back to the times of Engsog from 1984. Cherish, we did talk about 1984 earlier in this live stream. When the video becomes available, you can probably watch it. Shiroko says, it's like a gun is always pointed at me all the time, and if I say anything that hurts their sentiment, they can harm me or maybe give death threats, kind of thing. Well, part of life. I already answered your larger question, so I will not go into this. Sudipta says religion and therefore spirituality is entertainment. You said, and I agree. But what about people who use spirituality expressly for the purpose of making art? Mary Oliver, the poet, for example, is one. More power to them. I don't care. I am concerned with harm. I'm concerned with equality. I'm concerned with social structures and building a more equal future for our children. If someone is using religion for good, more power to them. But the problem is, most people who say that they use religion for good don't remain that way forever. Things change for them. They will be using religion for good, then someone will point out something legitimately wrong, and they will refuse to take their side because they love their religion so much. People who are, I think, like, see, this is, hold on, let me have a sip of water. So, I am an atheist, right? And I talk with religious people sometimes. And sometimes religious people are nice and kind, and we have no problem. We have a nice discourse, and the conversation ends. Sometimes the religious person starts allowing their love for the religion to get in the way of a logical conversation. Now, this can be because of multiple reasons, because it can be that they belong to a minority religion, which is already so embattled that they feel under attack when I say something. And that's completely understandable. I appreciate that. I understand that. I usually back out. But it is also possible that they are from a majority religion, which is not at risk, but has been told through media manipulation that they are at risk, Hindu khatre mein वगैरह. In that case, it is good to go forward and tell them that their religion does have problems. Now, if they are someone who, like this example, they are a good person and they use their religion to do good, I have no problem with them. I find that if I'm causing them excessive bother, I will back out. I'll say, तुम अच्छे आदमी हो, तुम अच्छा काम कर रहे हो, करते रहो, अगर तुम्हारा बहाना तुम्हारा धर्म है तो इसका इस्तेमाल करो, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। पर अगर बाद में तुम्हारा ये जो प्यार है तुम्हारे धर्म के लिए, ये रास्ते में आने लगता है, तुम्हारे धर्म की वजह से कुछ बुरा हुआ, मैंने कहा कि ये बुरा है और तुम कहो मेरे धर्म को कुछ मत बोलो, तब मैं आई विल नॉट हैव पेशेंस फॉर यू मैन, because you are actively getting in the way of something being fixed. So there is no one size fits all solution. These things have to be decided on a case by case basis. हम लोग एक इतनी सिंपल दुनिया में नहीं रहते जहाँ पे इस सिचुएशन में क्या करना चाहिए मैं लिख के दे सकूं, क्योंकि सिचुएशंस हमेशा अलग अलग होती हैं. Um, Hemant says, Hemant, thank you for being a member. Actually, B.R. Ambedkar reinterpreted Buddhism from spirituality to class struggle and then started to adopt it. Okay. Manish says, Vimoh, I think religion was a tool to form, expand, and unite tribes. It was and is only a political tool. Well, obviously, I have said this myself also before, because uh, religion was a way to keep tribes together, and that is why religion continues to be relevant, because the tribes that were created ages ago continue to be the tribes that guide the course of human civilization today. However, every tribe is political. There is a football club which is political. There is a cycling club that is political. There is a cooking club that is political because it's vegetarian. All groups of human beings have their own politics. We just call religion political because religious politics is plainly visible these days. There are subcultures on the internet which are political. There are anime fan groups which are extremely political, and they are so ducking clueless that they don't even know it. Gamer culture extremely political. People don't realize it because they think इसमें क्या political है, हम लोग तो ये political है. Yeah, political. Hemant says, actually, okay, already read that. Uh, Vikas says, Vimo, please live stream के टाइमिंग इंक्रीज करिए हाफ एन आवर. विकास, दैट इज डूएबल. जब मैं ये वीकेंड वाला लाइव स्ट्रीम करने का सोचूंगा तब इस बारे में बात करेंगे. Vikas says, Manish, religion is not only option to unite humans, nationalism also. Scientists, thinker like rationalist, atheist society. Hmm. Yash says, Vimo, what is your take on Dalit spiritual leaders like Ravidas and Kabir Das? He is not Dalit but of lower caste and Muslim community. I actually have not read much about them, so I'll keep my opinions to myself. I mean, I don't have any opinions. What is there to keep to myself? But I think, as I said in the answer to the question 2 questions back, if someone is religious and their religious activism is helping society become better, then I, as an atheist, can live with it, because I'm not going to be living under the illusion that I can rid the world of religion in one fell swoop. If some religious people are doing the things that I think are good for society, more power to them. As long as their religious activism does not blind them to the criticisms, good, solid, constructive criticisms of their own religion. Abhinash says 450 million plus people have stopped looking for jobs altogether. See my report. Yes, and we are losing our demographic dividend to religious conflict. Very depressing and shakes my hopes for the future. My hopes for the futures have been somewhat destroyed also, because this demographic dividend was something that we were all so extremely excited about in the early 2000s, or at least the early 2010s, but it's been completely wasted. हमने एक हमने एक सोने के अंडे देने वाली मुर्गी को एक ऐसे आदमी के हवाले कर दिया जिसको बस बिरयानी दिखती है। वो मुर्गी को कुछ खिला नहीं रहा है, मुर्गी को काट के उसके अंदर से अंडे निकालने की कोशिश कर रहा है और इस आदमी को कुछ आता-जाता भी नहीं है, दिमाग खाली है। ही डज़न्ट नो व्हाट टू डू विद अ कंट्री लाइक दिस, सो ही इज़ डूइंग हिज़ बेस्ट, ही इज़ डूइंग दैट 1 और 2 थिंग्स, मार डालेंगे, फँसा देंगे, मार देंगे, फँसा देंगे। इसको इसके अलावा कुछ नहीं आता एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी आर सफरिंग। Dhirubhai says, speaking of sentiments, another aspect of inequality within our society is the inequality of sentiments. Only some sentiments are cared about, not others. Yes. This goes back to the thing that we spoke about in the last episode. Why do religious sentiments matter more than other sentiments? Right. So I'm kind of at the 1 hour mark and I would like to end today's live stream, guys. But I have a few comments. I will take a look at some of them. I can't take a look at all the comments. Uh, Vishwas says a religion is comprised of metaphysics, theology, mythology, social structure, justice system, spirituality, morality, and epistemology. Yeah, but most of them are kind of not really useful. Metaphysics is kind of useless. Theology is useless. Mythology is stories. Social structure is useless. Justice systems are used. Social structure is useful. Justice systems are useful. Spirituality का कोई मतलब नहीं है. Morality is optional. You don't need religion for it. And epistemology is a function of language, right? So yeah, religion does have those things, but religion is not a source of those things, and many of those things are actually not useful. Let me not use the word useless because log offend ho jate hain. But theology is kind of useless. Theology is only useful if you're using it to study the history of religion, but everything it has to say about the nature of reality is completely ducking useless. Vishwas says the tragedy, the sorry state of many religions today is that religion is reduced down to only mythology and social structure. No, that's because actually religion does not have much more to itself than that. All the other things can exist independently of religion. Mythology is the only thing that is holding up religion because it is, at the end of the day, the only thing that religion really has. And even then, it's only because the stories have always been religious. There are stories which are not religious, and stories can exist without religion. Okay, Vishwas, another point, last one. The irony is interpreting the many schools of epistemology within those religions can easily bring down many ideas that are rampant among the self-proclaimed religious folks. Oh, Neil Ashwin says, I, in most cases, feel people getting converted for benefits like education is not something very wrong. I am anti-theist from a Christian background. I question uh, is because of my implicit bias your views. No, I don't think it's because, maybe it is because of your bias, but you're not wrong. I agree that a lot of people who get offended about religious conversion these days have misplaced priorities. तुमको इस बात पे गुस्सा आ रहा है कि तुम्हारा धर्म छोड़ के कोई जा रहा है. इमेजिन तुम एक कंपनी चला रहे हो, तुम्हारा कंपनी कोई छोड़ के जा रहा है. क्या दोष सिर्फ उस व्यक्ति का है जो जा रहा है, या दोष सिर्फ उस जगह का है जहां वो जा रहा है? तुम्हें अपने ऊपर देखने की बिल्कुल जरूरत नहीं है. तुम्हें आत्म मंथन की जरूरत नहीं है. तुम्हें यह सोचने की जरूरत नहीं है कि तुम्हारी कंपनी में कोई गड़बड़ है जिसकी वजह से लोग जा रहे हैं. If someone really cares about conversion being an issue, they will stop punishing people for getting converted and start fixing their own religion. अगर तुम्हारी कंपनी के टॉयलेट्स लीक कर रहे हैं, अगर तुम्हारे एम्प्लॉइज़ के पास बैठने को चेयर नहीं है, अगर तुम्हारे एम्प्लॉइज़ को तुम पैसे नहीं देते हो, तो ऑब्वियसली लोग तुम्हारी कंपनी छोड़ के जाएँगे। इसमें आश्चर्य की बात होनी ही नहीं चाहिए। कन्वर्जन के लिए हर धर्म कोशिश करेगा, पर लोग जाएँगे क्यों? अगर तुम एक जगह नौकरी कर रहे हो, तुम्हें दूसरे लोग लेने की कोशिश करेंगे, "आजा ज़्यादा पैसे देंगे।" पर जो जाता है, वो अगर तुम्हारी कंपनी से सचमुच उतना प्यार करता, तो वो नहीं जाता ना। क्यों नहीं करता प्यार? उस बारे में सोचो। कन्वर्जन से अगर प्रॉब्लम है, तो अपने धर्म को सुधारो, अपने लाइफ़स्टाइल को सुधारो। ये मत बोलो कि हमारे पास एक रिलिजन है, जहाँ पे बहुत सारे लोगों को हम लोग मिसट्रीट करेंगे, पर जिसको हम मिसट्रीट कर रहे हैं, उसको यहीं पे रहना भी पड़ेगा और ज़िंदगी भर मिसट्रीट होना पड़ेगा और मिसट्रीटमेंट को लेके खुश होना पड़ेगा। ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है। There is a super chat from Milind Sonone. Thank you, Milind, once again for the 200 rupees super sticker. Much appreciated. Milind is a regular donator. Everyone else, I'll remind you that this channel has a join button underneath this video and on the channel main page. If you click it, you can become a member of this channel and you can get emojis that you can use in the chat. Just like just like Dhirubhai here, who has used the Vimoh Asura emoji 3 times. Anyway, I will end the live stream now, guys. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining today's live stream. I know it was a bit unorthodox. Whatever plans I make about the future live streams, I will share it with you guys and in the community tab, and you can, give feedback and we can hammer things out together. I'll also remind everyone that if you want to support this channel in some other way, hold on, in some other way, you can do so by अरे कहाँ गया? You can do so by visiting my blog vimo.stack.me, vimo.stck.me, and clicking the support button there. Make a one-time donation of an amount of your choice, no monthly annual commitment, just one amount of your choice. I'm an independent creator. मेरा सारा content is sponsored by you guys only. My live streams, my videos, my podcast, my gaming content, everything, and my electricity bill also is paid by you. So whatever amount you can, please donate one on vimo.stck.me. I also have a Patreon, by the way. If you want to support me, Patreon का screen पे नाम नहीं डाल सकता, but you go to patreon.com/vimo. You can become a patron of mine also by making a monthly or annual pledge. And with that, oh, by the way, before going, one more time, my gaming channel is at Vimo Plays, youtube.com/Vimo Plays. Subscribe and share the videos with people you think might enjoy them. The short videos in Hindi, I mostly play Brawlhalla these days, and I make short video commentaries on the fight scenes that I have. And that's all. आज के लिए इतना ही. Thank you everyone for coming. I will see you on Saturday at 10 p.m. and we will, before that, hopefully, figure out what else to do on this channel. And good night. Have a nice week. Have rest of the week. Have a nice Thursday, Friday, and yeah, well, those 2 days only. Saturday को तो मिल ही रहा हूँ. चलो, bye bye.